Oh, that's going to be a good one. I need to do it near the mic.
This is going to turn into a short, isn't
That
it?
was a good pop. That was a really good pop.
All right, carry the chat.
Okay. All right, guys. So we're doing our first pour, Jefferson's Reserve limited edition cask strength. There's something you need to know about this, and it's some people have already. I think boat whiskey. This is not boat whiskey, so it hasn't been on the boat. First of all, but second of all, I can't not call Jefferson's Reserve boat whiskey, so that's probably going to happen a few times. But the 2024 edition of this looks identical to this, except the laser code on the back. And
Which,
you need to make sure that you get the 2025, right, Mac?
yes, because I have the 2024 in Miami right now at Veronica's condo. So anyway, maybe we'll do side by side. But yeah, I had to. Yeah, that's sneaky though. I didn't know about this last year. No one talked about it last year. Anyway,
All
um,
right, let's get on the nose.
do it.
Oh, it's got light vanilla.
I'm gonna say this. Not a not a super compelling nose. Just because
No,
unless
no, I'm not getting like a ton of. It doesn't jump out at you. I think if you were doing this nose in a blind, it wouldn't necessarily like
what?
blow you away, especially on a
Yeah,
fresh crack. Like,
it's no Calumet 18 nose.
no, definitely not
Yeah, no, you know what, and that's right, Hack. Like we need to also say fresh crack.
fresh crack.
That's important, and also the proof. We didn't even get the specs. It's 130 proof.
130 proofers. Just it's going to carry a punch here, and but yeah, the limited edition cast strength from Jefferson's Reserve. What'd your bottle run you price wise?
60, 65, I think.
Yeah, I think I paid 69 at Total Wine in California is where I got mine. Just found it. But yeah, so it's got a very light vanilla nose, maybe a touch caramel.
Yeah, I'm getting a little heat in there. Yeah, I mean,
Mm, it's not bad. It's not bad.
it's not bad. And like, if you think of prices, right? Let's also think about how much we're spending, right?
Gives me a little bit on the first sip. I need to go
All
back
right.
more. It gives me a
Also,
little
Mac.
bit of vibe of Bowman cast strength, a little bit. Just
Yes.
not as deep and complex and rich, but that's the flavor profile.
J JG is asking mash bill, and that is a great question, sir. Jefferson's is not very transparent
No,
with that. So I was looking a bit. There may be some others in the chat
or
that
give me a
know.
color.
Not sure.
It's. I feel like it needs some age.
We do know it's around 8 years. Okay, this drink's a little hot. That's the only thing.
That's
Like, and I like hot, but like,
it's spicy.
yeah, I you know what? I think I'm looking forward to this. Like, coming back in a couple weeks, maybe Hack 2. Like, we'll talk about it here, and then that could actually be a pretty good discussion, right? Of like, what are some bottles that have opened up for you that you didn't like on first crack? Because I know there's a couple Penelopes that at first crack I was like, why did I spin this? And then I came
Yeah,
back and I was actually really impressed. But
yeah. If you let the finish set for a little while, like I just did, you can get some of that leather oak in it.
Matthew's got the mash bill.
Oh, 60, 30, 10. Huh.
I haven't memorized that mash bill. Not sure.
I, I don't understand why he called this the whiskey of the year.
Yeah.
I don't.
And maybe just to be fair, I'm not sure if he did he maybe he like said that as a question, kind of like we did. Is it, or did he actually say maybe whiskey of the year?
I think you can watch the short. Like
Okay, yeah.
he goes all in on it.
So
As it
maybe for the
sets the
price range,
nose, you get more oak on the nose now. As it's kind of setting, do you get?
um I do get oak. and I do get light caramel. It feels very one note nose,
That's yeah. I don't know. Yeah, one note nose is a good call.
and a little and ethanol.
And it's not fair. Like we cracked it, poured it, it didn't set.
Yeah, but that's the you know what? But that's the name. It's called the crack hack.
I know, I know, I know, I know.
Has anyone had this in the chat? All right, all right. That was my third sip. Which shout out to Todd.
You know
I
what
think
I
it does
think it
three.
is? I think a good difference in because I'm comparing it to what I would consider a whiskey of the year. So it's about expectations, right? So when you have super high expectations for something,
Yeah,
it's really tough. I didn't have very high expectations. I mean, I had expectations for Bowman Cask Strength just because it's so hard to get. I didn't really see any YouTubers out there saying, "Oh, it's the best whiskey of the year," whatever. But it just was really, really good. And so I keep comparing this to that Smith Bowman Cask Strength because it does have a similar vibe feel to it. It
yeah.
feels like it needs a couple of more years. It feels like it's a
130.
little the you know the heat on it. I like the heat. So it's going to sound nerdy, but like in your palate space, right? If the finish kicks on in and the heat is too early, then it feels proofy.
Yeah,
If you can kind of get all those flavors and then the proof kind of kicks in towards the end of the mid palate, then into the finish, but it feels like the proof kicks is like way too early in the tasting. You're searching for those flavors and you're searching for something, and then it's like, oh, all that proof. Um, but I don't know.
yeah.
That's my thought.
So let's talk about price. Let's talk about age. So we think it's 8 year. I think that's what they say around 8 years. Cask, we got 130 proof. I start to run through my head of like, what are some other things to compare this to? I go to sourced MGP. I know that's a shocker for you, Hack,
Yeah.
but that's where I go, and I've got. I think there's some other MGPs out there in this price range that could compete. I think I get a honey. I get like a oaky honey, like amber honey, light caramel palette. It's just like kind of a sweeter oak. I don't now that I'm on the third or fourth sip, like it drank a little hot, but it's 130 proof, right? Like it should have some kick. I think it has the appropriate amount of kick. I think this is a I think it's good. I don't think it's groundbreaking. I don't think it's run to the store, grab one necessarily. I think for the price though, if you're in a if you're traveling or if it it's not bad. What do you
No,
think?
no, I agree with everything you said. I think the the thing I want to do and that's like I want to come back in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, when it's had a little time to open up, I think it could be really exciting after it's opened up. I really do. I think it's got that profile that I like. It's got rich
Yeah.
fruit in the mid palate. It's got the sweetness on the nose. It does have some oak that is starting to linger now on the finish for me,
Yeah.
which I didn't get before. And the longer I try it, the more I'm liking it here. But it may just be that
Yeah.
it's just had a little time to air. As the glass is a little emptier, I'm getting a little more depth on the nose than I did when I originally tried it. So
Yeah, we got to do the Detling. We got to do the Detling move. Smell the empty glass.
yeah,
Um so yeah. I I think it's almost like the Smoke Eye Hill situation where Smoke Eye Hill
it's a good
was
call.
called the George T. Stag Killer,
Yeah,
and
it's a very
everyone
good
bought
call.
it, and now I haven't heard anything about it in a year. Um,
Yeah,
Smoke Eye Hill's great. I really
yeah.
like it. It beat Stag Junior. I don't didn't beat George T. I didn't blind it with that, but I just don't see it doing. But like, if you would have poured this in a blind, and then I bet it, with some of the heavy hitters,
It'll do
I
really
think it'd
well.
probably come out mid range or something, and I'd be shocked. $60, $65, Jefferson's. I'd be surprised. It's a good whiskey.
Yeah, I think it's the best Jefferson's product I've ever had,
Yeah.
and I've had probably three or four different of their expressions over 5 or 6 years. So it's probably the best Jeffersons I've had. I didn't have last year's 2024 to compare to this, so maybe that's the call. Like let's compare the one that you got down there in Florida. But my thought with it is I want to give it another shot after it's had time to open up. But I wouldn't like run to a bunch of stores and try to find it because somebody called it the whiskey of the year. That's my take.
Yeah,
I'm one dude.
I agree.
I'm one dude. One dude. That's, in my opinion, means nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also palate, and I think Whiskier is doing some great stuff. So, shout out to Whiskier. I think this is a good bottle. I think, you know what, didn't blow me away for the price. It ain't bad. That's all I'm saying. I just wish it was put in a ship and put across the ocean. That's all. Maybe that's what.
That's what they missed. If they would have put this cask strength version on a John boat in a Texas lake somewhere, yeah.
Oh, there we go.